Hi, this is Marie, one of your marker pop colorists, and today I have a request from Christine to talk a little bit more about shading and using light guides. I'm going to be referencing a book by Marianne Walker, a wonderful graphic designer, and she has a book called Shadows and Shading. And in the back of each book, you have these fabulous light guides. They will help you understand and be able to get correct light sources and shadows on your images. There's a variety, and they can be reused. You just wipe them off with a little bit of alcohol and you're good to go. This one is on radial light. That is shadows from a single point, like a candle. This one would be a single point light, like from a spotlight. We have a grid that you can use along with your linear. If you're having some non-standard lighting that you're trying to work out your shadows on. And then the one that you see me use all the time is the linear. I love the linear, but I know I need to move on and work more with the others as well. But for today's video, we're mostly going to be working with this linear one, and those will be shadows like from the sun. It's a very, probably a light source with really sharp shadows, usually. So I think this is a fun thing to get. It's very thorough. Marianne has gone into a lot of detail, and if you ever worked your way through this book, you would be an expert on shadows. I love it. I am still working my way through this book, and I've had it for some time. I got it from Marianne herself when I took a class from her in Hawaii one time. She gave me one of these books. So I hope that you take an opportunity to get it and work it out and see if you like this. Now with this linear light source, I can move it in any direction that I like. And this would be the direct sunlight. They call it direct lighting as compared to non-direct. And it would be light coming from either side. I love to switch up the different sides and see what happens. They look so different depending on your light source. Now, when I put the linear guide, you see where the line comes from the linear, the lines where they first touch your image. That will be light, direct light source. Where that very line leaves your particular image, that will be your shadow. Your darkest part of your image will be there. And this is a good tool to make sure that you're consistent. Also, like under the frosting, you'll see shadow, cast shadow. Now, and just a little alcohol wipe can just remove all that. Or you can leave your coloring on and set it on the side with another stamped image and use it as a guide. Now, another way to use this is by doing cast shadows, taking kind of where the light source would be. If you drew an angle down from that frosting, the top of your image down, and one across the base, you can get an idea of how far out you would have a cast shadow. If your lighting was coming directly from the top, you see it would be much smaller of a cast shadow. When you do it at an angle, it's much longer. And of course, I do know, depending on where that sun is hitting from an angle, will depend on how long that shadow is. It's just a lot of fun to play with. So now as I put this on, I also want to say that you can break each little segment into light sources. Like, it isn't just where it begins to hit the image and leave the image, but you will see places within your image where the line hits and leaves. Like if you look at that whipped frosting, where it first hits a particular part of the frosting, it will be light source. Where it ends that frosting, that whip of frosting, that will be your shadow. So always not only look at your image as a whole, but also break it into little doable pieces so that you get the very best intricate shadow coverage. And so now we're going to be taking a color combo here, B00, B01, and B32, and I'll also be adding in a little bit of B62 very sparingly. I felt the image needed more darkness. So I'm going to lightly apply my base coat, very light. Every time you go over, it lays down particle, your base coat will darken. So that means your highlight will be darker. So keep this light very super light if you're going to do it. The purpose of our base coat is to allow the ink to just blend easier. Now we're going to be mapping our shadow. And again, if we break it into doable pieces, every little kind of mountain and valley of that whipped cream or frosting will have an area underneath that will be in shadow. And where that linear light just hit each of those mountains, the peak side, that will be more of a highlight. So we're happy with that. So we're going to go over it now with the shadow. Shadow is so important when you're coloring. Otherwise, you have an extremely flat image. The eyes depend upon contrast to be able to see shape and form in order to be able to see dimension. And sometimes the more shadow or contrast you can get between shadow and light, highlight, the more it will draw your eye to that image. If you look at several different images out there, your eye will always go to the image that has a lot of contrast. And isn't that what you would like them to do for your images? Is you would like it to catch people's eye. And this is a good way to do it. So we're just blending out now. And we're going to now flick out with the BOO. Just lightly. You could go down to a B000 if you would have wanted for your light source. That would have worked fine as well. Now we're going to darken our shadows with our B32. I wanted to go up a couple numbers with that first number in order to get more gray in there. The more gray I get, it looks more like a shadow. Now I'm going to blend out again with my B01, my mid-tone, and then flick gently with the highlight just to get that blended in. If we want to check and see if we're consistent, you can see that where the linear line touches the image or touches the peak of the mountains of the frosting, it's highlight. Where it is leaving that particular mountain, it is in shadow. And overall, it's a little bit lighter on the right-hand side than it is your left-hand side, because my light source is a little bit stronger there. That's the direction my linear light or direct light source is coming from. Now I just colored over the little white sprinkles because I knew I was going to add either some liquid pearls or something to it. So otherwise we could have used mascot. Now I just added a little bit of a shadow at the bottom. You can see the C3, again with using my linear source. We'll show that in more detail on a future video. Hope you like this and give it a try. Thank you for watching.